Breaking tonight, with 2 weeks to the midterms, we are getting warnings that a new law has opened the door to possible voter fraud in a critical Senate race that could decide the balance of power in Congress. Welcome to the Kelly File, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. It was roughly 16 months ago when the Democratic governor of Colorado signed a first-of-its-kind new election law, a set of rules that literally allows residents to print ballots from their home computers, then encourages them to turn ballots over to collectors in what appears to be an effort to do away with traditional polling places. What could go wrong? Critics say these new laws open up new opportunity for voter fraud, and they allege that they were pushed through the state legislature in a maneuver to keep Democrats in power. All of this and much, much more has just been documented in a brand new film called Rocky Mountain Heist. I'm going to show you the trailer and then Michelle Malkin. Here, watch.
The Republican Party is controlled by a bunch of bigots.
Many of these people are multi-billionaires.
The only way the bigots are going to learn is if we take their power away from them.
If they can utilize our money to basically accomplish their social agenda, that's a great thing for them.
If you think you know Colorado, think again.
A cake shop owner in Colorado now facing jail time after he refused to bake a cake for a same-sex wedding.
They made new rules. They changed the rules, and then they exploited those rules. There's a war going on.
They want to tell me what doctor I can go to, what health plan I can have. That is the war on women.
They have passed legislation that has been anti-gun, anti-family, anti-energy development.
Citizens United Productions presents.
The Colorado state flag is still flying high here in Fort Lupton, at least for now.
They are fundamentally changing our culture here in Colorado. We need to legalize marijuana nationally.
This hill is a communion. It's a communion of people who like to smoke weed and have a good time.
I self-medicate.
Well, I tell you what, we win Colorado, I'll get 4 more years.
Their weaknesses include arrogance.
Being a survivor of rape, what would have been different if I had been carrying the weapon I was licensed to carry that night?
Actually, statistics are not on your side, even if you had had a gun.
That's why we have the whistles.
If you think you know Colorado,
New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg has controversial remarks about Colorado.
You don't know hick.
We have some of the same backwards thinking in the rural western areas.
The Educate the Idiots campaign. Really insulting stuff.
What the hell is going on here? Who is this person? Where'd they get the kind of money?
Michelle Malkin hosts an all-star cast.
It all started here in Colorado. And the Colorado model could be coming to your state next.
If they can do it in Texas, Republicans are doomed.
Fundamentally transforming the United States of America.
Rocky Mountain Heist.
Joining me now, Michelle Malkin, host of the film Rocky Mountain Heist, and David Bossie, president of Citizens United, which produced the film and went all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court to fight for the right of companies like his to make their own voices heard in politics. Welcome to you both. Michelle, it's great to see you again. I know our viewers have missed you, and now we know what you have been up to. You are the host of this film, and it's about Colorado and how it's turned from red to more and more blue, but it's about so much more than Colorado. Tell us.
Yeah, you know, I've been a resident here of Colorado now for 6 years, and I didn't know the story about how this cabal of wealthy, liberal, progressive billionaires and millionaires meticulously planned to take over a once red meat state and turn it blue. And we did this film, and Citizens United and David Bossie have been absolute warriors in this fight to make sure that there is sunlight. Sunlight is always the best disinfectant, and to inform voters fully of what's been going on here. We owe Citizens United so much in this, and the fight that took place merely to get this film out in itself is a victory, because it's a victory for conservative political speech. But on the other hand, I think one of the most important points here is that what happened here in Colorado can happen in the rest of the country, and that's what's so important. That's the message we're trying to get out.
And explain to the viewers in a nutshell what the Democrats did, because the state was leaning very red, as you say, red meat, you know, Republican red, and more it is turning, and you say it's not an accident, and it boils down to some hypocrisy, you allege, and the Democrats purporting to be so offended by a lot of money from rich fat cats into politics.
Yeah, the hypocrisy reeks, it smokes, it burns, because you have these people who have paid lip service to transparency and to informing the voters. And it was the Gang of Four. It was Jared Polis, Tim Gill, Rut Bridges, and a very cryptic, wealthy medical device heiress, Pat Stryker, who all coordinated behind the scenes, behind closed doors, and used a lot of very shady nonprofits that have all these noble sounding names that include progress and democracy and transparency, while they were plotting to take over our state legislature. And what happened and what we feature in the film are firsthand testimonies from many of the victims. Some of them, of course, veteran Republican lawmakers who had the literal political rug pulled out under them. Traditional sleepy races, school board races, and state legislative races where hundreds of thousands of dollars from unknown donors were poured in these races to target them and turn the legislature blue.
And that's how it started at the state level, sort of from the ground up, to try to change the political makeup and the color, you know, red and blue color of the state. Here's a soundbite from the movie that I want the audience to. This is soundbite number 3 that speaks to the money issue now taking place in progressively blue Democrat Colorado. Watch.
It turned out it was an intern that the leftist think tank had working for them. And I spoke with him. He said, I keep seeing all these people coming into our offices. The Democratic leadership from the legislature, these rich guys that are coming in, the trial lawyers are coming in, they keep coming in and meeting. And afterwards I have to clean up the room, and I'm seeing these documents, and I was scared to death.
One document exposes apparent arrogance and even contempt CODA had toward voters. Plans for an Educate the Idiots campaign. The memo states the AFL-CIO would be tasked to educate the idiots, and clearly labels one so-called idiot group minorities.
Explain what we're seeing there, Michelle.
Yeah, well, this is how these progressive architects and engineers talk about their own constituency behind their back. And it's not just conservatives and Constitution-loving Republicans who should be offended by it. This is how they strategize. And, you know, they don't just demonize their opponents. This is how they talk about their own people. Educate the idiots. And those were documents that were obtained. CODA, which I mentioned in the film, is the Colorado Democracy Alliance. And this is the infrastructure. This is the vast network that has been formed not only as a result of the Gang of Four's collusions in Colorado, but at the national level. The sort of sister organization, the Democracy Alliance, is considered the new center of gravity for influencing elections, ballot boxes, and policy fights all across the country. It's happening in Texas and Virginia and Maine and everywhere, and people need to know about it.
All right, and now that's the question I have for you, David. So as somebody who went all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court to fight for corporations' First Amendment rights to be heard, and that decision in your favor has opened a lot of floodgates in terms of money in politics, how can you be critical to those who say this is hypocritical of you to come out and in essence criticize all this money in Colorado politics, state and federal? Shouldn't you be out there defending this?
Well, Megyn, I have no problem with people spending money and making their voices heard. What Michelle uncovers in this film, and our director and writer, Jason Meath, did a tremendous job working with her. It really uncovers these 4 individuals who really used the dark shadows to hide in. They didn't want transparency. Personally, I don't care about whether or not they spend money in politics. I do care that they attack me for what we do. And then they're the hypocrites in this issue.
Because little by little, if they maintain control, if they gain control of the state legislatures, the power then rises up and they start to gain national prominence in federal positions. Michelle, I want to ask you this. This news about this change in the Colorado voting law, which took place under Democrat-controlled, legislatures and governor, is it really as dramatic as they say? Can you really move to Colorado, visit Colorado basically for 21 days, and on day 22 register to vote on voting day online?
It is as bad as they say. And who's saying it? Well, it's election officials here in the state of Colorado. The El Paso County clerk in my right here in my backyard has been warning about it. The Secretary of State, Scott Gessler. And here is exactly why the Citizens United film Rocky Mountain Heist is so important. We mentioned this in our film. We talked to state legislators and Republican officials who knew that this was happening, who knew that this was part of the plan, the model, the blueprint to put through these so-called reforms that are supposed to enlighten and inform everyone and improve the voter situation, to be used and exploited specifically to affect elections, particularly when they're close. What do you get when you combine the Chicago way and the Colorado model and the Rocky Mountain Heist? Exactly this kind of voter fraud Frankenstein, which is perfect for Hollywood and exactly what they want when elections are close. And they're just coming up in a couple of weeks, aren't they?
She is just as fiery as ever. She's just, I mean, she's like you. The Denver air has not Boulder.
No, that's right.
She's still ready to bring it. David, it's great to see you. Michelle, you as well. Rocky Mountain Heist. Check it out.